Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So, this is, I think, the third marathon that we are doing on CUET based questions. And this is where we had stopped in the last class, right? We had done this question in the last class. So, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue taking questions from this. And as I have already announced on the group also, next Saturday, right, there is going to be a full consumer theory test based on CUET pattern, right? So, based on the kind of questions that we have already done in the last two marathons and what I will be doing today, you can consider them for practice, and then you can also go ahead and you can refer to the lectures that we have done. Prepare yourself. There will be a 50 marks test next Saturday from entire consumer theory CUET based. Okay. Yes, today's test is IIT JAM based and GATE economics based test. CUET based test is going to be the next week. Okay, that's the first thing. Another thing that I want to go ahead and I want to tell is I am starting with the CUET subject wise question bank. I will start releasing CUET subject wise question bank for all of you. And that will be available on the portal. There will be a separate part which will say question bank. And it will have questions related to micro, macro, maths, stats, and Indian eco, right? Last time I had introduced this question bank, but this time I want to make it better than last time. So I want to go ahead and I want to ensure that, I want to do some revamping around that, and I want to ensure that it is better placed, right? So you get micro first and then macro. Last time I just launched all the question bank together. So it was difficult for students to do everything together. But this time, because I am starting from the very beginning and this is just July, so I will be going ahead and I will be launching in a sequence. I will not be launching all five subjects together. I will start with micro, right? I will slowly release questions related to micro. Then I will go to macro, then maths, then stats, and then Indian Eco. The aim is for you to, so these are again all recorded question banks. The aim is that you do these question banks simultaneously on the day that I launch the question bank to you. Just then, jo 10, 15, 20 question I give you, you go ahead and you do those 15, 20 questions on the same day. And then, you also go ahead and you practice the topic wise tests that I will be giving you, right? That will help you do a thorough preparation based on CUET. Okay, let's start with today's session. It is 6 to 8 p.m. Whenever there will be tests like these now, which will be full syllabus, it will be 6 to 8 p.m. So that all of you can go ahead and whoever goes to college on Saturdays is also able to go ahead and give the test. Right? Okay, so let's start with it now. So let's start with the question today. So this is the first question. Try to also answer the questions on the chat window. So read out the first question. Indifference curve are downward sloping because. Okay. So although this question seems to be easy, it is actually tricky. It is actually tricky. So there are two properties of indifference curve. And now you will understand if you're answering the question correctly or not. There are two properties of indifference curve which are important. The first is that ICs are downward sloping. ये पहला property है कि ICs downward sloping होते हैं. And the second property of indifference curve is that they are convex to origin. देखो, listen to me. This is also downward sloping. This is also downward sloping. This is also downward sloping. ये तीनों ही curve downward sloping है. All these three curves are downward sloping. But they have different MRS. इसका MRS is diminishing क्योंकि ये convex है. इसका MRS is increasing and इसका MRS is constant. So even though MRS can be diminishing, increasing or constant, the curve is still downward sloping. फिर भी indifference curve downward sloping है. It is still downward sloping. So do you think that answer D is correct? Decreasing MRS. Do you think that is the reason behind downward sloping ICs? Try to think about it. Here, I have a downward sloping indifference curve. I have a downward sloping indifference curve. But they don't have diminishing MRS, na? So how can we say that the answer will be diminishing MRS? No. The cause for downward sloping indifference curve is the negative slope. And negative slope का क्या मतलब है? That in order to increase the consumption of good X, you must give up some amount of good Y. एक गुड को बढ़ाने के लिए दूसरे को कम करना पड़ रहा है. In order to increase the consumption of one commodity, you have to decrease the consumption of other commodity. क्योंकि दूसरे को दे रहे हो, you're giving up on the other good. That is why it is downward sloping. What about convex to origin? Convex to origin के लिए हमें चाहिए diminishing MRS. For convex to origin, we have studied this property that how MRS changes as X changes should be less than 0. When MRS is taken in absolute value, always remember, MRS को हमेशा absolute value में लेते हैं. This is the property of convex to origin. Right? So answer cannot be D. This is incorrect. D is only अगर question पूछता indifference curve are convex to origin because of diminishing MRS. So if you just see here, D is not correct, C is not correct, B is not correct. ये तीनों ही option possible हैं for downward sloping indifference curve. मोर ऑफ गुड इज बेटर. हाँ, ये तो मोर ऑफ गुड बेटर का मतलब क्या हो गया? दैट हायर द इंडिफरेंस कर्व द बेटर इट इज. दिस डज नॉट टेल मी एनीथिंग अबाउट डाउनवर्ड स्लोपिंग आईसी. ये तो सिर्फ ये बोल रहा है हायर आईसी बेटर इट इज. मोनोटोनिसिटी. दिस इज ऑल्सो इनकरेक्ट. सो आंसर विल बी ई. This is the most common mistake that students make. Right? So the correct answer will be none of the above. Why is it downward sloping? Let's write this down. An indifference curve, you can just make a note of it. An indifference curve is downward sloping because to increase the consumption of one commodity, you have to give up the other commodity. अगर हम एक commodity के consumption को बढ़ाते हैं तो दूसरे commodity की consumption को कम करना पड़ता है. Right? So what is MRS? MRS is nothing but how much Y I have to give up for an additional unit of X. तो Y को हम give up कर रहे हैं. I am giving up Y. X को हम increase कर रहे हैं for extra unit of X. तो giving up itself means that there is fall. There is a negative sign. That means it will be downward sloping. right? So what will be MRS? Minus MUX by MUY. So there is a negative sign telling me downward sloping, right? So the correct answer will be E. Okay, try to do the next question. Write your answer in the chat window. The value of price elasticity of demand. No, A is also not correct. I'm not sure which question you're talking about. If you're talking about this question, A is not correct. A only says more of good is better, right? So if you look here, even if I have an L-shaped indifference curve, then also I can say that more of good is better. This does not prove why it will be downward sloping. Even if I have substitute good, this also tells me more of good is better, right? So the shape of indifference curve cannot be determined by saying ki more of good will be better. That just says higher the indifference curve, the better it is. ये सिर्फ monotonicity के ऊपर है. But option A is also incorrect, right? Here also I am able to prove this, that more of good is better. Okay, fine. Let's go to the next question. Question number 20. The value of price elasticity of demand. Okay. Look here. This is my demand curve. पहले तो remember we always draw inverse demand curve, है ना? तो inverse demand curve में I'm taking price here and quantity here. So what is the slope of this inverse demand curve? क्या slope होगा? We know perpendicular by base. So it is going to be this divided by this. So the slope of my inverse demand curve, which will be how price changes as quantity changes. ये inverse demand curve का slope हो गया. And even if I were to find the slope of demand curve, है ना? तो demand curve means quantity as a function of price. तो भी what would have been its slope? Perpendicular by base. That means change in quantity due to change in price. This is the slope. But what is elasticity? Elasticity is how quantity changes as price changes into initial price by initial quantity. So it is slope into P by Q. So how can we say it will be same as slope? Slope is getting multiplied ना. Slope को हम P by Q से multiply कर रहे हैं. Multiply करने के बाद जो आंसर आ रहा है वो elasticity है. So slope and elasticity are not the same thing. So we cannot say it is C. Now, think about it. How is price measured? Price is measured in terms of rupees. And how is quantity measured? Quantity is measured in terms of units. तो दोनों का यूनिट अलग अलग होता है. एक का रुपीज है एंड एक का यूनिट्स है. But when we write elasticity of demand, it is a number, isn't it? We write elasticity of demand as 0.5 or elasticity of demand as minus 2.5. We write it as number. We don't write elasticity of demand in units or in rupees. Why? Because elasticity of demand is always percentage change in quantity due to percentage change in price. It is in percentage. We have converted it in terms of percentage. हमने उसको परसेंटेज में कन्वर्ट किया है कि ठीक है द क्वांटिटी चेंज कैन बी 20%, द प्राइस चेंज कैन बी 10%. So when you are converting it in terms of percentage, you are ensuring that you are making it unit free. आपने उसके यूनिट्स को हटा दिया, परसेंटेज में ना वो रुपीज में रहा, ना वो अब यूनिट्स में रहा, इट इज यूनिट फ्री, right? So the correct answer to this is that elasticity of demand is a unit free concept. It does not depend on any kind of units. वो किसी भी units पे depend नहीं करता है. So what will be the correct answer to this question? It will be this. Does not depend on units of measurement of either price or quantity. That is the right answer to this question, right? So don't think that elasticity of demand and slope are the same thing. Okay. ठीक है, take the next question. A 5% increase in income leads to 12% increase in demand. It follows that. Try to do this thing. Let me zoom this. Try to find the income elasticity. Okay. I think, okay, I think that I haven't given option D here. And yes, and there should be an option D to this. तो एक बार देखते हैं जरा. It says 5% increase in income leads to 12% increase in demand. So first of all, when my income is increasing, the demand of phone is increasing. So definitely phone cannot be inferior. Income बढ़ रहा है, demand बढ़ रहा है. So I can say that this is a normal good, right? And what is going to be my income elasticity? My income elasticity is going to be percentage change in the quantity due to percentage change in income. So quantity is changing by 12% and income is changing by 5%, right? So 12 divided by 5 is actually 2.4. And what can we rather say? We can say that since 2.4 is greater than 1, we can also talk further about the kind of good, that it is a luxury good, because income elasticity is coming more than 1. So I think I have missed out on the last option here. यहाँ पे एक और option होना चाहिए, and that is why the confusion. You will write income elasticity of demand. It is 2.4 and mobile phones are actually normal good. Because when the income is increasing, the demand of phone is increasing. Increase. So I cannot say that it is going to be inferior good. Acha, in this case, this will sometimes नहीं, a lot of times happen in the CUET exam. बहुत बारी ऐसा होगा that none of the option will be correct. ठीक है? And कभी कभी ऐसा होगा that more than one option will be correct. So let me tell you here how to react to such questions. देखो, if none of the options is correct, अगर एक भी option correct नहीं है, then all students will secure marks, whether attempted or not attempted. चाहे आपने अटेम्प्ट किया हो या ना किया हो, ठीक है, दिस इज अ बेसिक रूल वेदर वी टॉक अबाउट यूजीसी नेट और वेदर वी टॉक अबाउट CUET or any such exam which is conducted. If none of the option is correct, whether you have attempted or not attempted, all students are going to get marks. But suppose they give you 4 options and 2 options are correct. So we know it's an MCQ paper. कोई एक ही ठीक हो सकता है. In that case, only the students who have marked one of these 2 options, they will be getting marks. सबको नहीं मिलेगा marks. Only students who have marked one of these 2 correct options, only they will be securing marks. This is the way the rules are set. ठीक है? Which means that suppose, let's say that this was the question. It follows that. और यहाँ पे क्या होता ना, that they would have given option A, income elasticity is 2.4 and mobile phones are, यहाँ पे suppose they would have written normal goods, और यहाँ पे वो लिख देते इनकम इलास्टिसिटी इज 2.4 एंड मोबाइल फोन्स आर लग्जरी गुड्स. तो बोथ आर करेक्ट, नॉर्मल भी है ही और लग्जरी भी है ही. सो ओनली स्टूडेंट्स हु वुड हैव मार्क्ड ए और डी वुड हैव सिक्योर्ड मार्क्स. But those students who will leave the question will not secure marks. So don't think कि अच्छा एक से ज्यादा ठीक है तो let me just skip it, otherwise I will get negative marking. No, you need to mark one of the correct options to secure marks in this case. ठीक है? So act very very carefully in your exam. Okay, let's take one more question now. So read it out, try to do this question. In a too good economy, utility function is given to you. Price of both good is given to you. Income is given to you. Find the optimal consumption bundle.